Calling to order the regular meeting of the Wheeling Plan Commission for Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. Please stand for the pledge. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blanova.
I'm here.
Commissioner Berkey.
Here.
Commissioner Sprague is here. Commissioner Yednak.
Here.
Chairman Johnson.
Here. Ms. Nyes, any changes to the agenda this evening?
No changes.
All right. Citizens' concerns and comments? I don't know if we have anything.
No, there's nothing there.
Okay. And nobody was here to speak on something other than one of the petitions? Okay, just want to make sure. We have no consent items, so we'll move right into 7A, docket number 2021-17, the amendment to previously approved plan unit development and preliminary plat for Prairie Park Condominium Development. Welcome back, Mr. Shapiro.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, my name is Dan Shapiro. I'm representing the petitioner here tonight, as I did on May 12th. We were hopeful of getting here on the 26th. You may remember my pleas, but I had a personal conflict. So thank you for bearing with us and allowing us to appear tonight on your agenda. On the 12th, we heard a lot of comments from you, as well as Inspector Antor, who is there. And we have addressed all of them, in particular comments with reference to the plat, with reference to fire protection and prevention, in reference to site planning issues. We are here and available to answer any of your questions, but as I understand it, we seem to have received a favorable response from staff on site planning concerns. I'm certainly not going to speak for them. It's my impression. And we are code compliant with reference to fire prevention and fire protection issues. Again, this is, as you well know, an amendment to a PUD. We're asking for only 3 departures, which is very modest, which is the intent of a PUD, to allow for certain flexibility in site planning when you have a project of this size. That is the intent of Chapter 9 of your zoning ordinance. So we are here to answer any questions you may have and appreciate your time and your patience.
Thank you. This is an open public hearing from the last couple of meetings. Is there anybody from the public who is here to speak on this matter? Okay, I see nobody. Let's start with staff this time. Mr. Antor, how are we doing with this project?
The petitioner has provided additional documentation, tweaked modifications to the site plan, and the documents they submitted would satisfy the code requirements as we see them.
Okay. Engineering.
The applicant has provided us a revised preliminary plat. After going through and reviewing it, it does meet, or going through our checklist, it does check off a large majority of the items. A few small tweaks will need to be made. That doesn't necessarily need to happen right now, but they have, looks like they've responded to our engineering comments as it relates to the site plan as well, and addressed the majority of them that we have at this moment.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, anything from you?
The staff report has been updated to reflect the revisions that we received from the petitioner regarding the discussion at the previous meetings. On the whole, they have addressed a large number of the planning review comments. There are a couple of items that the staff report does note that pointed out that the Plan Commission should consider during their discussions on this project. And in terms of the preliminary plat, the petitioners worked with staff in regards to getting the necessary revisions in place so that the plat has the fundamental principles needed to move along to where there's only minor items that would need to be addressed at the final plat of subdivision. And the same would hold true for the preliminary PUD plans as well.
Okay. Thank you, staff. Let's go to the commissioners, and Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mr.
Good evening, sir.
Shapiro.
Good to see you.
Welcome back again.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to commend you on the changes that you did make.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, some of the issues that I had, you didn't address, and you made it clear at the last meeting that you were at that you guys weren't going to change any of the size, proportions. My view was that what your project is too big for the area you're trying to put it in.
I remember that conversation.
Right, okay. And your setbacks on the north side and on the south side, that combined with the 10-foot distance between each building just screams, in my opinion, screams that it's too large for that area.
If I could address that, or did you want me to
Sure,
wait?
no,
Sure.
go ahead.
Because I've given some thought, and we may just have a disagreement here, but if you could give me the benefit of where we see this. Right now, if you're talking about density, Commissioner Sprague, right now the density is 14.38 units per acre.
Well,
That, and I'll just, if I could.
go ahead, sure.
Okay. With the townhomes, it would be 15.5. So it's less than a 10% increase. By comparison, if you were to have the fifth tower, it would be 17.3. By comparison, Millbrook is 14. So it's all like right there. Everything is pretty much there in terms of units per acre. I know you would address the setbacks, and I know you would address, or you have addressed the 10-foot separation.
Mm-hmm.
With regards to the 10-foot separation, and I want to beat a dead horse, we have addressed that with regards to the fire protection and prevention. But this is not unprecedented. You have that at Millbrook, which is less than 10%, and you have that at Horton, which I worked on, with 10 feet rather, which is a little bit more than 10 feet. So the village has done things like this before, even most recently with those two projects, one of which I was a part of, which I'm sure you knew anyway. So thank you for giving me the indulgence to repeat that.
Oh, sure. You include in there the density, which I view as a separate issue to what I'm speaking to right now.
Right. I understand that
Because you could have the proper amount of units per acre, or like you say, less than 10% per acre more, and still fit it in that area if the units were smaller in size.
I get what you are saying, but again, if we go back to what your Chapter 9 of your zoning ordinance allows, they allow for adjustments just like this. So I beg to differ. I don't think this screams overly built or overly dense, because if it were, then I think you would see a lot different numbers than what you're seeing now. I think you'd have a totally different plan.
Well, what I am seeing is the fact that you want to be only 8 foot away from the property line in the back.
On one side.
Okay.
That's right, on
Well,
one
it's
side.
It's still 8 foot, whether it's one side or...
I'm not going to disagree.
Right.
We agree that on one side, it's 8 feet. You're right.
Then in the front, and I'll include on one side, you're less than 15 feet from the curb. which is also basically a departure.
We're only asking for 3 departures, and let me review those in my notes, if I may.
Yeah, I count 6 departures, actually.
Okay, so, if you give me 1 second, I had a feeling we would have this conversation, so I made a note of it. I believe, and Steve, please, if you could verify, I believe we propose in our list of departures, 1 departure having to do with parking spaces, 9 by 18, rather than 9 by 18 by 6 for some parking spaces. A separation of the buildings of 10 rather than 30 feet, and to allow for bicycles to be stored inside the garage rather than providing for bike racks. That's what I listed as departures. If I'm wrong and there are more than that, please correct me, but that's what I thought we had.
That's correct. What was requested, staff did identify an additional deviation, which is the rear yard setback. The platted setback was for the original condo tower, so that is, a platted setback that's required for the development. Applying the zoning setback, the 8-foot setback doesn't comply with that zoning setback either, so that's the other deviation. In regards to the front, or the units, the southern units that are adjacent to Prairie Park Drive, that is a private road, so the setbacks, front yard setbacks, if you will, are based off of the public road, Wolf Road, rather than Prairie Park Drive, being that it's a private drive, and therefore the setbacks are along are based off along the perimeter of the lot, which in this case, the lot is the entire parcel of Prairie Park itself. So that's why staff didn't identify the distance between those southern units and Prairie Park Drive as a deviation, is because it's a private road that doesn't have established setbacks on it.
Okay, thank you. Also, on that south side along Prairie Park Road, I noticed that not that it can't be allowed, but it just seemed a little unusual for the patios on that side where it's closer to the road is only 4 foot away from the public sidewalk.
I think that's within code, and again, I could be.
I'm not saying it's
Right.
out of code or anything, but
Okay.
it's just awful close to the sidewalk for a patio.
And I am sure, while I can't recite you chapter and verse, I am sure there are many other examples in this village that this body is otherwise formed in a different manner has previously approved.
All right, I think I've covered everything. That's
Are
all
you
I
sure?
have.
I was
Thank you.
expecting more from you.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Blanova,
Thank you. I have nothing on this, thank you.
Commissioner Berkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We might be getting to this later, but and I know this wasn't included, but there was going to be some information later on about the height and style of the wrought iron fence. Do we have any of that yet, or no?
If you look on sheet A9, in the bottom left-hand corner, we show the black aluminum 3-foot-high fence on A9.
It's,
There, in the
Right,
very
isn't it?
bottom
Okay.
corner.
Gotcha. Must have missed that. Thank you. That's all I have. Thanks.
All right, I know Commissioner Yednek is abstaining again. So that comes down to me. My biggest concern was how our professional staff had seen the changes, and they seem to be satisfied with much of it. I know it's outside our purview, but it seems like I've been hearing things from condo residents that they are not for this. It sounds like you're going to have a little bit of a uphill battle.
So I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Okay.
What we have heard is from like 3 people. And as this body knows, a lot of times people don't show up to support something. They only show up to oppose something.
Right.
And we have only heard, and I personally have only heard from 2 people, and then there was another one. So I'm not terribly concerned.
Okay. Now, the condo HOA owns part of the property. Try and explain that to me. Just,
Jamie, do you want?
again, it may not be anything we need to worry about, but
Sure.
just to get the whole picture.
Yeah, we have the, regarding the condo residents, we held a Zoom meeting. I personally spoke to probably 25 different residents that weren't on that Zoom meeting. Obviously, you have some with concerns, but the overall, at least consensus of the people that I've talked to are actually supportive. You do have some that obviously are not. You're never going to get 100% of people
Sure.
that support anything. Regarding the remaining property that was obviously set for the parking for the building that's not going up, we have the blessing from the HOA board to be here. We are in ongoing negotiations, and we will settle this to make it work, and that can be a condition upon the project. Oh, yes, I apologize. It would be a separate HOA. There'll probably be, there'll be a master association set up regarding the common area space. So this project would pay their fair share for the waterfall, road maintenance, snow removal for the main road, clubhouse, exterior landscaping. They would not cover the cost of, obviously, the buildings themselves. That would strictly be the Prairie Park HOA. So you'll get a new master HOA, and then this property would be its own separate HOA. So the residents would not be, covering any costs for this new development. I'm sorry.
Be a cost share for the common area.
Yes, exactly. A cost sharing for the general costs of exterior maintenance, not including the buildings themselves.
I think everything else I had was answered. Anything else from any of the commissioners? Commissioner Sprague, anything? Commissioner Berkey, anything down there?
No.
Anything else? All right, Ms. Nyes, what kind of conditions do we have on this?
Well, one thing
This
that,
is strictly the changing the PUD, not the plat yet.
yes, and the 2 items that we haven't brought up yet are the discussion about the parking stall length. They have provided it from the face of the garage to the outside edge of the curb. So it's not a full 18 feet of pavement on the driveway. So that's something that we brought up for discussion, and also if additional landscape planting should be incorporated along the northern property line.
So with regards to the northern property line, it's a little tricky, because 1, you need to show separation. 2, we're providing a 3-foot easement over there for fire. And, sorry? A walkway. Walkway, sorry. Access path for fire. And so there's only so much room. So we have provided some landscaping. The concern there is to do more would infringe on that 3-foot access walkway for fire. And I just don't know that there's any room for that. It's not that we're not willing, it's just I don't know about the actual room to put everything in there. And then with regards to the parking, again, it's a limited number of guest spaces only that we need that relief, that we've asked for that relief in one of our 3 departures.
This is actually in the, this is in their parking spaces. It's not on the street ones.
Their driveway.
It's in their driveway.
Okay. You want to talk about that? Thank you for clarifying that, Mark.
I've been doing 45 years worth of parking lot design, and pretty much all the criteria I've generally run into is a 24-foot aisle with 18-foot parking space on either side. This is not a heavily traveled road, and we do have an extra 6 inches to the garage doors. So that's the way I look at it, is being like a parking court, which would have a 24-foot aisle like Buffalo Grove has, and 18-foot deep parking spaces.
Right. The concern is that the 18 feet includes the curb.
Yeah. Our pavement space is 24 feet wide, and then the curb is beyond that. So I understand.
I think I read something in the staff report about the 18 feet, and the concern is that the cars will go past that.
The cars will
Because
hang over the curb.
Right, because I think one thought was cars don't pull up to the garage. I
Well,
think-
also because you need the full 18 feet.
Well,
Right, go ahead.
as I read it, it doesn't, the cars don't pull up to the nose of the garage like this. And so the cars typically don't do that. I'm thinking that it will be a matter of education and routine for cars to be able to do that, and that the owner can say, hey, pull your car all the way up to the garage door or to the garage. Again, this is, I don't believe, I understand this is staff's job to point this out, but this is one of the minor and few departures that we're truly asking for under a PUD, which allows for requests such as this.
You were able to get some of the driveways 21 feet deep, and others only 18 feet deep. Well. Commissioner Sprague, you had something?
Yeah, I had a question for engineering. Were there boring samples taken for the soil load?
After speaking with their design engineer today, they're in the process of doing that. But yeah, my understanding is that they're going to fully comply with our previous comments to do a soil analysis on the site to ensure.
We have them scheduled, the borings.
Now, what happens to that if it's not favorable test?
The tests aren't favorable. The design will have to probably change to ensure, that what is being constructed can be done so safely without having the test results. It's clearly, it's really just speculation at this point until those results come back.
Right.
But yeah, if the results are unfavorable, then would probably likely have to change the design to make it work.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
I was just informed that the number of driveways are not more than, the number of driveways with 18 feet, Chairman, is not more than half of them. Believe me, if we could have designed all of them to be 21 feet, we would have, but there are certain physical constraints that we need to work with. So it's not all of them, it's some of them. And for some of them, we're asking for that departure.
I'm counting more than half of them on your drawing here. Can you pull up this one? Yeah.
You find it, am I wrong? I have been wrong before, believe it or
It's
not.
10. It's 10.
10?
9 or 10 out of, so we're around 50%.
Okay. All right, so Marcy, what other conditions do we have here?
So the conditions, I believe, are the same as last time. There were 4 conditions. The first one is the final details of the paver material and specification shall be included on the final PUD plans for staff review. The second condition, electrical service for Meadow Lane lift station needs to be transferred to the developer's ComEd account, and all previous outstanding balances must be paid to the village. The third condition, detention basin number 2 at the northeast corner of the property needs to be constructed and tied into the storm sewer system as was originally approved. This will include the removal of the leasing office trailer and parking area at this location. And condition number 4, as-built drawings for the Prairie Park subdivision will need to be provided. This will need to include detention basin number 2 and related storm sewer and final grading.
Thank you. There wasn't anything about removing the sales trailer, or is that part of the other one?
I said that, well, did
I think
say
that's condition number 3, if I'm not mistaken.
This includes removal of the leasing office trailer and parking area at this,
okay.
that was number 3.
I was looking at something different, sorry. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Shapiro?
Yes, one last thing.
Sure, go.
Sometimes lawyers can't help themselves. Last thing on the 6 inches, the 18 versus 18.6, there will be a specific provision in the HOA CCRs that you can't hang over. Cars can't hang over, so that will be there.
Good luck with that.
Thank you. The other thing is just, again, we appreciate all of staff's work. We're very happy to have received the limited comments and I think somewhat encouraging responses that we got tonight, especially to your questions, Chairman Johnson, to make sure that staff was okay with this. I know that there was a lot of give and take with staff and especially with Inspector Antor. So we're pleased and we are asking for this amendment to the PUD tonight and a favorable recommendation.
All right. Do I hear a motion from the commission?
So moved. Second.
Wait, who made the motion? No. Who made the motion?
Yeah, who made the motion?
I can't?
You can't make the
You
motion.
can't.
no.
Oh, I thought a motion just to make the motion.
So moved.
Commissioner Berkey. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Blanova. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova,
No.
Commissioner Sprague is no. Commissioner, Chairman Johnson.
Well, based on the staff's comments, I'm going to say yes.
2 and 2.
Still got a long way to go to get to final and through all the engineering, so.
You'll get there.
There's one more motion regarding the preliminary plat. But the public hearing needs to be closed.
So then we go on to docket 2021-20.
There's only one docket.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
Yeah, it got,
yeah, there's only one docket number.
okay.
Do I need to sign anything?
No.
Okay.
so I don't have to, we still have to vote on the plat, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so 2021-22, granting preliminary plat of subdivision for Prairie Park at Wheeling.
And we have conditions for that.
There are conditions. So please read them.
So there's 5 conditions. First one, references to Phase 2 shall be removed from the preliminary plat of re-subdivision of the Prairie Park subdivision. Condition 2, the preliminary plat of re-subdivision of the Prairie Park subdivision shall be revised to correctly identify the proposed 8-foot building setback line on the northern right-of-way of townhomes to be consistent with the original plat. Condition 3, the final plat of a re-subdivision of the Prairie Park subdivision shall include all existing easement provisions recorded with the original Prairie Park at Wheeling subdivision. Condition 4, all necessary plat certificates shall be provided on the final plat of re-subdivision. And condition 5, all plat requirements of Title 17 planning, subdivisions, and developments of the Wheeling Municipal Code shall be provided for on the final plat of re-subdivision.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Commissioner Berkey,
Second.
Commissioner Blanova.
Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova,
No.
Commissioner Sprague is a no. Chairman Johnson.
I'm going to say yes again. So Mallory, this goes to the board as a,
Yes, this goes to the board on June 21st.
as an undecided or
I think it
unrecommended?
goes as a fail vote.
We'll have to take a look at how it'll be presented. Right now, it's as a 2-2, but there's the one.
I don't know, I'm looking at what board docs do.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right. We do need to close the public hearing from 2021-17.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Sprague, Commissioner Blanova,
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Yadnak.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
yes. All right, now moving on. Docket 2021-18, special use to permit a daycare facility, Compassionate Love Daycare Incorporated, 199 First Street. Mr. Secretary?
Compassionate Love Daycare Incorporated, leasee, seeks a special use as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-10, use regulations and associated sections in order to permit a child daycare, Compassionate Love Daycare, in the R4 multifamily residential district for the property located at 199 First Street. A special use is defined in the zoning code as a use of parcel of land that requires review and consideration before approval due to the potential for negative impacts on surrounding properties. In order to be considered for a special use, the petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at a public hearing that the request meets the standards of the village code, including but not limited to how the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that the request meets the standards for a special use as established in Title 19. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting material submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the Village Board.
Thank you. Ms. Nyes?
Okay. So the applicant, Compassionate Love Daycare, is here seeking a special use to permit a child daycare in the R4 multifamily residential district. We have two docket items here. So first, we're just going to talk about the special use, and then we will talk about the minor appearance approval for painting the building after we vote on the first part. I believe the petitioner is here, but do you have to do that or no?
No.
Oh, okay,
That
sorry.
comes after.
Okay.
Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Peter Karahalios. I'm Vice
Swear you
President.
in.
Oh, sorry.
Do you swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Now, introduce again.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Peter Karahalios. I'm Vice President and General Counsel of Compassionate Love Daycare and Early Learning Center. And as was read into the record, we are seeking a special use permit for child daycare and early learning center, 199 North First Street in Wheeling, Illinois. In way of context, the building was purchased from the village of Wheeling for $875,000 a few years ago. And we are seeking now to be able to use that facility to be able to service the needs of the greater Wheeling area, because there's a great demand for child daycare services. We're seeing as more and more people are required to stay home as a result of COVID-19 and other matters, that there's a demand. We have had a lot of demand, people coming up to our door saying, when are you going to open? When are you going to open? We need to be able to have this daycare for the residents here. But in addition to that, it's also for the servicing of the staff of the Greek American Rehabilitation and Care Center, which is located directly across the street. We have our staff there, and we need to be able to service our elderly population, and the staff are begging us to be able to have a daycare center that they can have their children dropped off at, have the early learning process initiated, and then to be able to have that as a service to the elderly indirectly by servicing the needs of the caregivers. We're very excited about being able to service the needs of the greater Wheeling area as well as the nursing home staff, and we are hereby requesting that the special use permit be issued for the purpose of operating Compassionate Love Daycare as an early learning center.
Thank you. Okay, we do have, this is a public hearing, and we have a couple people who signed up. First up is George, I'm not sure on the last name. 238 First Street.
George
Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
Yes, I do.
State your name and address, please.
Name is George Hernandez. I live at 238 First Street in Wheeling. I'm here to oppose the daycare center. We live right down the block, and I talked to Marcy earlier last week and told her my concerns. And the first one is the area is our resident across the street is actually R2. And R2 is just single-family homes. When the Greek nursing home was built, it was built for the seniors. We at the time, we knew that the senior center was being used, but wasn't used often. So the reason I oppose it is because, one, it's a residential area. Two, there's going to be a lot more traffic going down the street. You got ones coming in the morning, you got ones going in at night. Right now, we have the traffic that goes through there is only because it's somewhat of a dead end. We have twice as much traffic. So there's 3 pickups on a garbage truck on a daily basis. And we have to hear that continuously. So 3 trucks going in, 3 trucks going out. The addition of doing the daycare center, we're going to have 2 or 3 more garbage trucks. We have semi-trucks that are coming down the street, a residential street, and that's to deliver food, to deliver medical gear and things like that. The same thing with the daycare. They're going to want to have food to nourish their kids, and it's still my biggest concern is the traffic. There's going to be a lot more heavier traffic than what needs to be. And the noise is the next one. For some time, to say the Greek nursing home has been cutting down trees, and some of it for good cause, because they did die. Others, they're just, so the trees have been there for years to block out the noise. Right now, every morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, as my next door neighbor can attest, that's all you hear is the rumbling of the garbage trucks, the rumbling of all the traffic. Plus, now snow plowing. Snow plowing is the same thing. Their medical building is across the street. When snow comes, it's all night long. All I hear is the plow hitting the road, and it keeps going back and forth and back and forth. And if it's not one, it's the other. And there was one more. Well, maybe my other neighbor might remember it, but at this time, no. So they have the medical building across the street. if they want to put a daycare center, my choice would go put it in a medical building and not come straight in front of the house, because it's just more traffic for us and more noise. That's my piece right now.
Thank you. Then we have another George and Yvonne. Please raise your hand. You swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
And
My name
state-
is George Masserat,
Okay.
and I live a little closer in my neighborhood as George, because I'm right there on the far corner, and the Greek is right next to us now.
Could you step closer to the mic, please, sir?
I'm sorry, yeah, I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yes.
So we've been there for a long time, and we're at the corner house. And when we first moved there was nothing but woods and forest. And of course, over the time, it changed from one, I think it was residential at that time, and then they changed it to the Greek building. And of course, that changed quite a bit. And progressively, we have a lot of traffic going by, and there's lots of things that's happening that we didn't have when we purchased the home and lived there, which I think is from the 1980s, I guess? Oh, 1977. So we've been there for a long time. And I think that there is a tendency to expand in the area that we live in. And of course, it makes things a little bit more difficult for us, especially with the traffic and with additional buildings being built, I understand. I think the Greek Center has a plan to build some other additional buildings, which I think is also close by, and that's a different topic altogether. Yes?
I know nothing about that.
Oh, no? There is one, isn't there? Yes, there is a, I haven't seen the building pictures for it, but evidently it's quite a large public shopping center, I believe, of some sort. It's also very, very close. I'm not sure that's going to be out on Milwaukee Avenue. I'm not really sure, but we're concerned about it. And so I really appreciate you taking the time and listening to me, and I think my wife agrees with me. So exactly where is it out for going ahead and authorizing the child care? Is that been approved already, or is that?
No. That's
Okay.
Right?
So there'll be a recommendation made here by the Plan Commission.
Okay.
And then that'll go before the village board on June, what was my date?
21st.
June 21st.
First, okay.
And the village board will make the final decision.
Okay. Well, that's our thinking. On the broader side of it, I think we've been there for a long time, and it's changed quite a bit in a long time. And I think that at least the group that we're in, 6 homes, I think is residential. And I think I also have in the back of my mind that it's out there to change the residential area and expand their building. And I certainly hope it wouldn't be in our plot of land. So what else can I say? I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me ask staff, is there something in the works about?
I mean, it's not really relevant for tonight, because the only thing before us is the special use for the daycare. If there is something else, then if required, it'll come before the planning commission.
Okay.
Oh, she wants to speak.
Oh yeah, come on up. I thought he was speaking for you. Silly me. You swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
I do.
Okay, step close.
Could you come up to the mic?
Closer? That better?
As long as we can hear you, yep.
Okay. We've been there since 1977, and there have been a lot of changes. Yes, no. But I guess, as George, our neighbor, said, I would rather there's no parking over there by the senior center. There is some parking. I'm concerned with the traffic on the road, the medical building that's closer on Strong Street. At least that people, there won't be as much traffic on a very small street. My father actually put in the street that we are living on at the time because it was just a dirt road. And he made it a little sturdier. It's been changed many years since then. But it's not for all of the traffic, the noise, the trees that got cut down. The trees came up, trees come down. It's nice being separate from the Greek nursing home. I'm actually going to the Greek nursing home for physical therapy myself. It's so nice and close. But that doesn't mean I want them to, I don't want any accidents with children around. There are people, there's a complex just down the street that's just a condominium complex that the access is from our street, that they can go down. People can go down there really fast. There's a lot of buildings that were put there, and I don't want to see some kids getting hurt. It's a small little road. There are literally only 2 houses, plus the one on the corner, 3 that are on Strong Street. And then there's the medical building. It's dangerous. I taught preschool here in Wheeling. I don't want an accident to happen. I don't like all of the traffic. It's bad, as George had said, with all of the garbage trucks and things like that. I'm not saying that there are other facilities in Wheeling. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be some daycare, and I think it would be good for the nurses that could use it and the help. But the medical building could also facilitate it, and there's a lot more parking there. And they could get their kids, which is a very small walk between the 2 places. Well, that's basically what I wanted to say. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Did the petitioner want to respond to any of that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Contrary to what was just testified to, there are 39 parking spaces that are part and parcel of this property that we own. The requirement is only for 26 spaces, and we have 39 spaces. With regard to some of the other issues that were raised, we have no plans to build anything else anywhere right now. We have the ability to keep our people as satisfied as we can, to keep the services that we need for our elderly people there, but this would add a big incentive for us to maintain our staff. But forgetting about the Greek American, because it's not about the Greek American, it's about the entire community. We have people that are coming in, knocking on the door on the former senior center and saying, when are you going to open? We have people, our children and grandchildren need a place. We want this to open. Secondly, with regard to the cutting down of the trees, those trees were in dangerous condition. We don't want to spend thousands of dollars, which we had to, in order to prevent someone being injured by those trees, which is exactly what we did to have a preventative measure. We love trees. Everybody loves trees, but they were dangerous, and that's why we took them down. Clearly, this use was prior an adult senior center. There were comings and goings with even more traffic as a senior center. Here, the people are going to be dropping off their children and then coming back to pick them up. We have a situation where we have plenty of parking. We have the ability to be able to service the beautiful location that we have there. And I think if you drive by there, you'll see that it is a very attractive building, and we are continuing to enhance and improve that as a reflection of what Wheeling can and should look like. We're very, very proud of that building, and that's why we bought it.
Okay. Well, let's go to the commissioners. Commissioner Yednick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm back in the game for tonight. I did have one question that came up. I originally didn't have any questions on the special use, but I wanted to ask the petitioner. There was a concern about the delivery trucks and trash trucks. Do you anticipate that there will be an increase? It surprises me that you're having 3 waste management pickups a day. That seems pretty high. Usually it's 1 truck a day and not even every day. But the delivery trucks I can understand. So do you anticipate that there will be an increase in the number of truck traffic coming and going for waste management or food and supply delivery, or will they cover both buildings at the same time? I don't know.
There are synergies between both buildings that will not increase the traffic because we're going to be having services that are being dropped off at the Greek American, and those supplies, et cetera, will just be hand carried across the street from the Greek American Rehabilitation and Care Center to the 199 building.
Okay.
There is not going to be any significant increase in traffic or noise.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you happen to know how many trash delivery pickups you have for the main building a day?
To my knowledge, because I'm the president of the Greek American Rehabilitation and Care Center as well, we do not have 3 garbage pickups a day. We do not.
Okay. Yeah, that seemed high to me, but okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thanks.
Commissioner Blanova.
Thank you. But you're mentioning that the outside area for children will be built later? And in the meantime, they're going to be just inside, they're not going to go outside at all?
Well, that's not correct. We have the park, which is 0.2 miles away, right to the west of us there, that we can use on good days. For the days that the weather does not permit, we have a large motor room, gross motor room for the children to be able to have activities in. So if it's a bad day, they're going to stay in. If it's a good day, we have the carriages that are necessary. It's a lovely six-person children carriage that we have there, and we're going to be taking them to and from the park, which is directly across the street from there, 0.2 miles away.
Okay, that makes sense. That's all I have.
Commissioner Berkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So kind of piggybacking on the play area, I see that there's going to be about just under a quarter of a mile walk from the center to Chamber Park. Is there an age minimum that you're going to have in place for kids that will be going over there? And what's the supervision going to be like? How many teachers to how many children?
I'd like to introduce Diane Haas, our director. She'll be able to answer those operational issues better than I may.
Do you swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
State your name again for the
Diane
record.
Haas.
Diane Haas.
So we, the youngest age that a child can leave the center is 6 months. They have to be able to sit upright in the buggy that we provide. DCFS is very strict in the ages and also the ratios of children to teachers. So for every 4 babies, there's 1 teacher. Every toddler, there's 1 to 5. Every preschooler, there's 1 to 10. And every 2-year-old, there's 1 to 8. So the children are constantly monitored, constantly supervised. We regard safety highly in this center. I am a lifelong educator as well and a preschool teacher. I taught preschool for 23 years, and I've been in administration for 10 years now. So this is not my first center that I'll be directing. It's my 3rd. So we take all those matters extremely seriously as well. We also have walking ropes for the children that are mobile, and they actually hold on to a little shape. And the teachers, there's 1 teacher in front, 1 teacher in the back. We also have hired and are still hiring floaters to help transport children to and from places safely.
Okay, thank you. And then what's the ETA on having your own play area for the center?
It's really twofold, Commissioner. It's number 1, the finances of that are going to dictate when we can do that. And of course, complying with each and every village requirement that needs to be complied with, we will do so. But right now, it's an economic issue. This has taken a lot longer than we thought it was going to take, and we have no income coming in from this property. and we need to be able to get it open so that we can generate the revenue to be able eventually to have a play area which will be in compliance with the Illinois DCFS rules as well as the Village of Wheeling rules. We will fully comply with each and every rule that is applicable to us.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening.
Good evening.
I was concerned about, well, what safety precautions you'll take to keep the children away from the water that's in the back of your building.
Well, certainly, we are talking right now with Home Depot about having a fence, but it's going to be in compliance with whatever the requirements are that that the village has for putting a fence there. But in the meantime, we're not going to be allowing the children to go out there. It's going to be contained within the building. They're going to be contained within the building. If they're not going to be in the building, they are going to be in the park, supervised with Diane and her staff to be able to walk the children there. We are very, very involved, very, very concerned to be sure that that's not going to be a problem. Down the road, we are going to have a fence subject to, of course, the approval of the village. But right now, we're not going to be allowing the children to go out there. We have alarms on the doors. If a child tries to go through, an alarm would go off. Secondly, those pushes are so hard, a child is not going to be able to open them. It looks like it's about 25 pounds of pressure to be able to push those doors open. They're intentionally done so in compliance with each and every Illinois Department of Children and Family Services requirement there. So they're aware of that, they know about the water that's there, and they have given us our provider number, knowing that that is a situation that we will address and will provide further protections in the future. But right now, we believe that compliance with all of the Illinois rules and regs are sufficient to be able to protect the children that are under our care.
Well, we know how children are, and they can dart off way quicker than you can catch them. And I'm just concerned that, one gets astray, they can wind up in that water.
Well, that's why we have the panic doors there with the alarms that would go off instantly. We're going to have plenty of staff there. We are just as concerned as you are with regard to the safety of the children that are in our care.
Okay, thank you.
And I can echo that DCFS does regulate this very heavily. I mean, there are daycares all over the city of Chicago. My daughter goes to one. It's on a busy road. Like, they walk to the park that's a couple blocks away. It's all very regulated and like the rules and everything. So it's something that they have practiced.
Good, thank you.
So I understand the concern. I just wanted to echo that
yeah.
they're inspected very heavily by DCFS and regulated very heavily by DCFS.
That's good to hear.
Yes, we are. Very much so. Very much so.
Yes.
And the only other question I had for the special use is what's the percentage of people that are going to be using the daycare that are actually working for the business across the street?
Only one. We're going to be having a nurse that works across the street coming in to supervise.
No, I mean people that will use the daycare for their children. You said that the workers.
Oh,
it's for the workers.
Yes, we have at least a dozen people that have said right now that they want to have a facility to be able to have their children dropped off across the street. They can come across the street during their break to be able to feed the child, come back over their lunch hour, feed the child again, whatever they want to do during their break. It's literally a 3-minute walk, if that, probably a 2-minute walk between the two buildings.
And how many children do you think you'll have in the daycare center?
Our license is going to be up to 60.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Well, my questions about the safety aspects were answered. Anything from the fire department? The staff report had no comments from the fire or engineering or anybody, but.
Yeah, basically at this point, everything would be covered during the building permitting review process.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Nope. Do we have have any conditions on this one, Marcy?
No conditions.
All right. Then I would entertain a motion on, which one is this, 2021-18, special use.
So move.
Second.
Yednek and Berkey.
Commissioner Yednak,
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova,
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes, Chairman Johnson.
Yes. And then a motion to close the public hearing on 2021-18.
So moved.
Second.
Was that?
Sprague and Yednek.
Well, Berkey.
Oh, Berkey, I'm sorry. You guys sound too much alike.
Yeah, that's why I asked. I didn't know for sure. Commissioner Sprague is a yes, Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova,
Yes.
Commissioner Yednak,
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. All right, then we have PC 21-17, the minor appearance approval for the same daycare facility at 199 First Street. Ms. Nice?
I will leave it up to the petitioner to explain what they're doing to the building.
Okay.
Yes, the current color scheme is an orange top and a light color bottom. What we'd like to do is to make it a dark, well, you can see some part of the top is orange, some is the bottom. What we want to do is to have the top portion, the darker gray on the left, the Westchester gray, and then the bottom portion being the Dorian gray. And we think that that's going to be a very attractive and appealing look for the building. And that would be wherever there currently is paint there, because there's some siding there, we would not be doing the siding.
So all the reddish
Yes,
color would be gone?
yes, they'll all be gone, yes. We thought that was somewhat garish, quite frankly.
Okay, anything else on the site?
I think those are the only changes they're proposing.
Pardon?
I think the paint color is the only changes they are proposing.
Yeah, okay. All right, Commissioner Blanova, anything on the appearance?
I mean, the choice of a color really probably up to you, but I honestly wouldn't change much of a color because it blends in with the other structures like that condominiums. I don't see anything wrong with that color. But, I mean, just a recommendation, I cannot really force anything, but other than that.
I understand, Commissioner, thank you.
Commissioner Sprague?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a little checklist here of things that I noticed that need repair or improvement. I just want to see if there's things that you're going to address. Number one, the trash enclosure needs a little repair. That's something that you were going to address?
Yes, we will. The door there has come off the hinge, and then we put it back on again. Apparently, there's some mischief that some of the people that are there have done. We're going to be putting a lock on that, so it's not just that easy to get into it. So we will put a lock on the trash door there so that children cannot get.
Yeah, some of the wood fencing on the east side is coming off.
Of the trash enclosure?
Yes.
Oh, yes, okay, yeah, we will deal with that as well, Commissioner, absolutely.
The gazebo, I noticed the gazebo needs a little bit of scraping, painting. I noticed some paint peeling.
Yes, we can address that as well, Commissioner.
I saw that there was some stucco that needed repair on the front of your building.
That will be part of the painting of the property.
Included in the painting?
Yes, the painter has already addressed that as part of the contract.
The parking lot, you have any plans on restriping the parking lot?
Yes, we do, but we have to get some revenue in before we can do that, Commissioner.
It's in the plans, though?
It's in the plans, of course.
Okay.
Yes, but it's a financial.
And then the only other thing I noticed was the address numbers were not very visible from the street. You have them on the door right now.
Right.
Maybe something could be added larger on the building as far as an address?
Yeah, we were planning on the north side of the building to have Compassion Love Daycare in raised letters away from the building.
Part of the sign?
After, yes, exactly, after it's painted, of course.
Okay.
So they could do that, and then the address would be underneath it as well.
Right, yeah, that'd be great. Okay, thank you, that's all I had.
Commissioner Yednick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Marcy, could you bring up the pictures of the building? The outside, yeah, that's a good one. I was a little confused by top and bottom. So are we just saying we're replacing the orange with the dark and?
Well, the goal, the plan that we have right now is everything that is the upper half of the building would be the dark gray, and then the lighter gray would be where the orange is now, would be the lighter gray.
Oh, okay, because I thought the orange was, you were calling that top because that's got the highest peak in the front.
It goes top and bottom,
Yeah,
Commissioner.
okay, then the sides, you're not doing any, those are siding, you're not doing those?
Yeah, those are vinyl siding.
Okay, all right, so you leave that, okay. And Marcy, would the sign be coming back to us then, or a new code?
No, wall sign, if it's a wall sign, we would just handle that at staff level. It would need a permit.
Okay, we can, I'll have the display artist show you what we're planning on doing there.
Yeah, they can contact me.
Very good, we will do so.
Yeah, that's all I had then. I just was confused on the top and bottom and where the colors were. Thanks.
Okay. Commissioner Berkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any thought to balancing out the landscaping? On the left-hand side of the entrance, you've got good lush bushes there, and on the right, it looks like whatever was there is kind of bare.
Within the last 2 weeks, we have had a landscaper come in there. I think if you drive by there tomorrow, I think you'd be very pleased with the landscaping that we've done there on both sides of the entrance.
Okay.
And in fact, we have in front where the light is, we've had our landscapers put beautiful new gray stones there that will frame where the light comes up in the center there. Please feel free to stop by there. I think you'll be very favorably impressed.
Great,
with the
thank
work
you.
that we've done there. It's very, very pretty. It truly
Great.
is.
That's all I have, thank you.
All right. Explain that. So any other questions from the commission? Nope. Are there any conditions?
No conditions.
No conditions. Then I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Yednick, Commissioner Berkey.
Commissioner Yednick.
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Chairman Johnson.
Yes. All right. This will
So
go-
you'll go to the village board on June
21st.
21st. I don't know why I can't remember that date.
On my birthday, we're going to be doing this on my birthday. All
Yeah,
right.
same place,
Okay.
same time.
All right, very good. Thank you all, commissioners. We appreciate that. I think we're going to make you all very proud of what we're going to be doing there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have a say?
Sure.
It's over. I'm assuming that you all voted yes, and again, we are very disappointed that, with your decision. Again, it's an R2 district, which is just residential. My recommendation would also be to have staff put a environmental study of the traffic that is now being done and in the future, what's going to be happening. And
The property itself actually is R4.
no,
Your neighborhood is R2, but the property itself is R4.
correct. And why should we be suffering with something that, they're just bypassing? And I really wish you would verify
I'm looking at that.
by having the staff, and as I told Marcy, you guys put up 2 speed traps on Strong to direct traffic. If you put something right there on First Street, and you would see literally how much heavy traffic is coming down here. And I told her once before, there were bulldozers coming down our street. you know, and that was from the Wolf Road.
Sure.
Construction.
I mean, there's.
Okay. Well, all I can suggest is that you attend the board meeting on the 21st. You'll have another chance to speak with them. We're basically looking at how the project relates to code issues. So
And our two.
it does
and our
meet,
Traffic does not meet that, huh?
not in this case.
And like I says, there's a medical building right across the street that's empty. They can't use that?
Thank you.
Chairman Johnson, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing and we want to continue on with our
well,
agenda.
I let one go.
Yeah, my quick question is, the property is owned by the Greek Center, yes?
I am.
I believe so, and they also own that property, they own the other property that is not currently being used. I think they also own that big parcel of land, which is at the corner of Milwaukee and Strong. And that's just want to confirm that's true, yes?
We would have to check into that.
Yeah,
I'm not aware.
Yeah, I think it is.
We don't know.
So, and again, I think there's an expansion there that I think is being considered. So, anyway, thank you very much.
Okay. Again, come to the board meeting and share your thoughts. All right, moving on. 2021-19, variation to reduce side and rear setbacks for the Old Munich Inn, 582 North Milwaukee. Mr. Secretary?
Old Munich Inn Tavern, property owner is seeking a variation as required in Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-05, mixed use and overlay districts and associated sections, from the required side yard setback from 15 feet to 5 feet and 25 feet to 18 feet, from the required rear yard setback in order to permit the construction of a detached accessory structure for Old Munich Inn Tavern, located at 582 North Milwaukee Avenue, which is zoned MXC, Commercial Residential Mixed Use. A zoning variation is intended to be a method of adjustment to equalize regulations where the zoning code has created an unnecessary hardship. A variation is designed to allow affected property owners the same rights and privileges that others enjoy in the same zoning district. In order to be granted a variation, a petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at a public hearing that the request meets the standards of the village code, including but not limited to how their individual situation is unique or unusual. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that the request for variation meets the standards established in Title 19. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the village board.
Thank you. Ms. Nyes?
Okay, so we have two dockets here again. We have the first one for the variance and the second one for the minor site plan and appearance approval. So Mr. Lombardius is here because he has applied for a grant through our Economic Development Department. And in order for that grant to be reviewed and processed, he has to make sure he has all his zoning issues in check. So the one thing is this storage container that he'd like to put out. Oh, here it is. Requires some setbacks. And then just the overall plan, which first we're just talking about these setbacks, but they kind of all go together. He wants to redevelop this back area to put some bag toss play area, a gazebo, and he has a deck to put out and some lighting and some different things. So he can come up and explain that, but that's kind of, it's like a full thing on the property. But the first thing is just for these two setbacks from the side and the rear. He's surrounded by the parking lot for Buca de Beppo. So it's just kind of a sea of asphalt. And we do not have any proposed conditions.
Okay. Come on up. Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
Yes, I do.
State your name and address.
Bill Lombardius, 582 Milwaukee.
All right, so tell us what Marcy hasn't told us.
So Marcy's on point, pretty much she said everything. The building in the back.
Come to the mic a little bit
The
more.
building for the back is basically just to store a lot of the outdoor seating and, any kind of activities that we'll be doing. And the bag toss, just something to do more outside activities for the patrons. The gazebo, more aesthetic, and along the whole trim around that will be also some kind of fencing as well as floral displays. The lighting as well for safety. The patio, again, we have the space for it, and a lot of our customers have enjoyed us having it with the pandemic, how it was utilized well. Now we figured, let's make it a permanent thing. And again, working close with staff and all the recommendations came to some changes and came up to this final design. And including the inside of the kitchen. Should have done that in the beginning, but now again, of what our customers want and we can offer. That's basically it.
Okay. This is a public hearing. I don't think we have anybody from the public that came to speak on this. All right, so we'll go right to our commission. Commissioner Yadnik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no questions on the variation. I do have some questions on the site plan and appearance.
All right. Commissioner Berkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No questions.
Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would the gazebo be included in the setback variance?
No, the gazebo is not part of the setback.
It was not.
No, I know it's not part of it. I'm asking if it should be.
No,
it's
the gazebo's
accessory
the gazebo's a pre-manufactured structure, therefore it will require a foundation
Okay.
to construct it, therefore it's.
I kind of figured that, but I wanted to make sure. And then the only other thing was, is there any chance that you could move that storage facility to the north at all or away from the lot line, or do you need it there for the room?
Where are you saying?
If you moved it north a little bit to increase the setback from, right now it's, you want 5 foot off the side?
Well, what we have it set back there because it's with the outdoor activities, and then if we do any kind of event or something there, that's
You want the room
right in front of it. And it's set back where it's hidden, it's not exposed, it's not an eyesore. Yet it won't be because it's going to match the same color scheme as the building in itself.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it because it's parking lot on the other side. If it was something else, then it might be another issue, but that's all I have. Thanks.
Commissioner Blanova.
No questions.
And I didn't have any issues with it either. It's nice to see you're continuing to spruce the place up.
Thank you, yeah, I'm trying.
No other questions from the commission? Ms. Nyes, any conditions on this?
No conditions.
Then I would entertain a motion to approve the variation.
So moved. Second. Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Yadnak?
Yes.
Chairman Johnson?
Yes. And then a motion to close the public hearing portion.
So moved.
Second.
Yadnik and Berkey.
Commissioner Yadnak?
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Chairman Johnson?
Yes. All right, then we move on to PC 21-14, the minor site plan and appearance approval for Old Munich Inn at 582 North Milwaukee. Ms. Nyes, anything from you on this?
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Anything in addition that you want to add to the?
No, just hopefully be able to start soon.
Okay. Then we'll go to the commissioners again. Commissioner Yadnik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Chairman Johnson said, it's nice you're doing a lot to the property, but I do have a few concerns about some of the plans. I went by and took a look at the property yesterday. When I was looking at Google Maps originally, when I was reviewing this, it looked like there was a whole lot of trees where you're doing the gazebo, but it looks like you might have lost a couple of those already. Maybe the satellite image is old. There's still two there, though. Are you planning on taking those down to put the gazebo up, or are you going to save those?
No, we try to save as much as we could for the green and, the aesthetic thing. So they're still healthy. The gazebo is just going to go right in front of them. We're going to build a platform underneath to support everything, obviously. And then around all the trees, we're doing like a river rock, which is going to be a lot of river rock stone completely around them.
Yeah, there was a picture of the rocks, and for a while I couldn't figure out what I was looking at. Picture of the rocks, and then I found it later on the drawing.
I'm also doing those metal rails, which are going to be along the side and in the front. So if you're playing
I saw those on the drawing.
And they're out there now. They're actually what I have in our patio. So I'm going to switch those over there and then build it completely new.
One of the big things, and this is not really your issue, but I brought this up when we reviewed something at our last meeting, but the parking numbers just don't seem sufficient to me. And I mean, I'm sure you're doing a lot of this because you want to bring in more patrons, you're expanding your servable space. Now you're going to have inside, the outdoor, and now you're going to have the backyard basically, where the games are going to go on. I was out there yesterday about 2 o'clock and over half of the parking spaces were already full. And so I know that per the numbers that Marcy ran, you're within the code, but I have a concern then, I guess, with the code, and maybe just in generally, I think we might need to look at it, because I also don't think that you can cover what you're expanding to with just 2 employees. I mean, realistically, aren't you going to have more than 2 employees in an evening when you're open, because now you're adding food, you're going to have servers, you're going to have servers outside, you're going to have servers inside. How many?
One kitchen staff, and then the bartender itself, and maybe a security person. But they're generally going to bring out the food or bring it to the counter and then go out. We're not doing like a formal.
So you're not going to have a wait person that's going to be going up and back on the deck and into the back by the bags courts and stuff?
Not by the courts. We're not going out there. We're not servicing that area.
Again, you're within code. I just have a concern that, that 19 spaces is enough and we're only accounting for 2 employees. I mean, you need to staff up as many people as you need to run your business. I'm not trying to hold you to that, but like I said, when I was there in the middle of the afternoon, half the lot was full. I just was wondering, but then you go to Boca de Beppo, there's all kinds of room there.
We have
talked to them about it all, about overflow, so.
We have their whole parking. They have a cross easement with them.
Okay, so that, okay, then you're taking care of that concern. I'm just saying in general, I think we need to look at the code because it seems like we're undershort. For restaurants and taverns, we're not planning for enough parking. I mean, you're covered within the code, but as long as you have that, that plan. The other concern that I had a little bit was the safety aspect, but you're saying the servers are not going to be walking across in the evening to the bags courts and stuff? People are going to go inside, get their own beer, come back out to the bags courts?
That's more for an aesthetic thing I did, because it's just an eyesore. Hopefully people go out there and play,
Well then, yeah, that's what I was wondering too. Are you going to, the lighting, I'm not a regulations bags player. They do have tournaments on TV. I saw that when I was flipping through the channel the other day. You're just going to have that one pole light. So are you planning bags at night? Is there going to be enough lighting for people to play? Well, I mean, in the summer, you got till, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:15.
There is. I mean, we were discussing possibly doing volleyball there, but I just, I don't foresee that much activity.
Well, the other thing that I thought when I was looking there is, do you really have enough room to get, and this was a question that I had for engineering, because I saw that area of grass there's kind of almost like a channel that runs down, and I'm thinking in order to put the bag courts, you're going to have to level that area.
It will be it will still have a slight pitch.
But is there supposed to be a channel there?
At the end of the day, as long as it drains positively into the drainage structure at the southwest corner of the property, we'd be okay with him kind of touching up the grading there to accommodate his bag sets. I've already discussed this with Bill. At the end of the day, as long as that area drains, we're fine.
Okay, so because I saw right now there's kind of a pretty distinct channel, and you know, you're gonna be playing bags sideways, you know, or they're gonna slide off onto one
It's a
side.
new bag toss, it's an advanced game where you have to.
Well, no, but I mean,
Against gravity.
if the bag is slideway, you hit it and then everything's gonna fall off. You're not
Yeah,
be
we're
able to
gonna
keep-
fill it a little bit, but we still have to have a slight pitch.
Okay, all right, so you're still gonna take care of that. That covered all my questions though, but I think when we get back together with the board, maybe and when we were talking, we need to talk about some of the parking requirements, because I think as long as you have the overflow and that's fine, then I'm comfortable that you're gonna be able to cover your parking needs.
A lot of Buca people park there, it's confusing, that's why we have that cross easement.
Oh, they pull into your lot? And I actually went into your lot first, and then I went into their lot so I could get a look from the other side when I was driving through yesterday to take a look. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, and thank you.
Commissioner Berkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Yadnak took some of my questions, so I have nothing.
Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. Just a couple things. I noticed there's, you've got a gigantic pothole in the back on the west side there. Is that something you're gonna
Oh, yeah, that's
fix
on
up?
pothole, new seal coating,
Oh, okay.
restriping.
Great. The only other question I had is whether you might need any bollards on the east side of the deck where the traffic pulls in from Milwaukee. Is that something that you think that they would need for safety?
We discussed that, it's gonna be an
Oh.
elevated curb.
Oh, okay.
Building up on that, to just, you know.
Oh.
And plus now you see the patio, that's gonna come in about 8 feet.
Uh-huh.
It's not gonna be even further out there, but
Because
for
when
added
I
safety-
pulled in there, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know.
No, that's gonna be addressed, yes.
Okay, all right. That's all I have. Thanks.
Okay. Commissioner Blanova.
Nothing, thank you.
All right. And I didn't have anything further either. I presume you'll have a Buca versus Old Munich competition going with the bags.
Actually, community development against city council, I think.
All right, any other questions from the commission? Nope. Any conditions, Ms. Nyes?
No, no conditions.
Then how about a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Blanova.
Yes?
Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Yadnak.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes.
So the site plan is approved here, that's final, and the variations will go to the village board on June 21st.
Perfect,
And then you'll follow through with economic development on your grant.
great. Yeah, I've been talking, Patrick's on it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to stop by for a beer.
All right. Docket 2021-20, special use to permit a recreation and instruction facility, Base Camp Yoga at 664 Wheeling Road. Mr. Secretary?
Base Camp Yoga, Lee C. is seeking a special use as required in Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-07 Industrial Districts, Chapter 19-10 Use Regulations, and associated sections in order to permit a recreation and instruction facility, Base Camp Yoga, located at 664 Wheeling Road, which is zoned I-2 Limited Industrial. A special use as defined in the zoning code is the use of parcel of land that requires review and consideration before approval due to the potential for negative impacts on surrounding properties. In order to be considered for a special use, the petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at a public hearing that the request meets the standards of the village code, including but not limited to how the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that the request meets the standards for a special use as established in Title 19. The commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the village board.
Thank you. Ms. Nyes, anything?
It's another recreation and instruction facility, a yoga facility that's going to go in. The proposed hours of operation are 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. with the majority of the hours Our class is being held in the morning and the evening. In order for her to have more than 12 people in the facility at a time, the petitioner has to apply for a large recreation and instruction facility, which requires a special use. I've done the parking analysis. There are 291 spaces out there, plenty of spaces for everyone to park there. And there are no conditions on this one.
All right. I assume you're the petitioner, so you're the only one left here.
Thank you guys for having me here tonight.
It is a public hearing, so do you swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
I do.
Thank you. State your name. And
Mary Wally, 607 North Washington.
You can take your mask off so we can hear you.
It's hard enough to
Yeah, Mary Wally, 607 North Washington.
Okay. Explain what you want to do.
Oh, well, I would love to open a yoga studio. It's been my dream for a very long time. And basically, I just need my special use permit so that I can have more than 12 people on premises at once.
Do you currently have a studio somewhere, or?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
I run everything online.
Okay. Obviously, there's no public comments. So, Commissioner Berkey, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no questions.
Commissioner Blanova.
No issues there.
Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What age group are you going to have?
Adults.
It'll be adults?
Yes.
Okay. Then we don't have to worry about the business that's next door?
No. Yeah,
All
the
right.
Irva
That's all I
Grow. Yeah, they're very nice people.
Great.
Yeah, very nice. I had a conversation with them yesterday. They're great. But yeah, all adults.
They're just farmers.
Right.
Right.
Is that Commissioner Yednick?
I think by the next year, Wheeling should be the healthiest village in the North Shore, based on all the exercise places we've been reviewing.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's not other yoga studios though.
No, not yoga studios.
Yeah, this is gonna be like the first
You have
one.
competition in karate, stretching, dance, I forget.
Gymnastics.
Yeah, gymnastics we've had recently, but that's
and
all.
bags.
Good luck, no questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had no questions on this. And we have no conditions?
No.
So let's have a motion then. Sorry you had to wait all night for this.
Oh, it was actually a great learning experience for me, really. This is my first time doing something like this, so I didn't realize how much went into even just painting a building. So it was really interesting for me.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Sprague, did you get who seconded?
Yes, I did. Berkey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Yednack?
Yes.
Chairman Johnson?
Yes.
So
Thank
you
you,
two
guys.
will come back on the 21st.
Okay.
And visit the board.
Okay,
And then
thank you
after
so
that,
much.
you'll be done.
Wonderful. Thanks, guys. And it's nice to meet you, Marcy.
It's nice to
She's
meet
the best.
Don't let that get to her head. I need a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Berkey, Commissioner Yednack.
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Yednack?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Chairman Johnson?
Yes. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting of May 26th, 2021. Do I hear a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
Commissioner Yednack, Commissioner Berkey.
Commissioner Yednack?
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Chairman Johnson?
Yes. Other business. I was going to introduce our new members that got sworn in at Monday's board meeting. We have Mr. Gerald Riles and Mr. Rick Hyken will be joining us for our next meeting, presumably. Once they get some training time in with staff and get equipped with their iPads, and do their Open Meetings Act training and all that. So we should see them at our next meeting. All Marcy, any new businesses open in town? Other than, I do know about the Asian cuisine place. Over in, what's the name of that plaza?
It's destroyed completely. There's only walls there. In Huntington?
Huntington, yes.
Did Hawker Delight open?
Yeah. Have you
I'm
been
not
there
sure.
yet? No.
I don't know who else actually opened.
No, I don't think they've opened yet. I think
Almost.
everybody's having trouble hiring people.
But lots of business applications, so.
Yeah. All right, just prior to our meeting tonight, I got a note from President Horker. They're looking at taking down these plastic shields and would appreciate if I would poll the commission and find out if you have any strong opinions either way and get back to him. So, based on what we know, I believe all of us are vaccinated now.
Can we ask that question? Because that was my question.
I don't, can I ask that question?
Yeah, you can ask it. No one's required to answer one way or the other, but you're not, there's no like law against it. It's not HIPAA protected for someone to ask you.
So Commissioner Berkey, are you okay with them taking down the partitions?
I would be fine with it.
Commissioner Yadnik?
I am vaccinated, and if everybody else is, I'm comfortable with it.
All right, Commissioner Blanova?
Definitely no issues with that.
All right, and Commissioner Sprague?
No problem with it.
All right, so I will get back to him. I have no problem
You
with
didn't
it
do the
either.
vaccination poll, though.
What?
That was my hesitation, is assuming everybody's vaccinated, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
But I don't know that.
Right.
Don't know the answer to that.
Well, so the village, I think policy and procedure would be that if you're not vaccinated, if they came down, then non-vaccinated people would still need to continue wearing a mask. So that's the current.
Yeah, and for now, it's wear a mask when you're in the building. We just take them off when we're in our seats.
Yeah.
All right, that's my other business. Commissioner Blanova, anything from you?
No, nothing.
Commissioner Sprague?
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Berkey?
I promised my wife I would ask the question, if anybody knows the answer, when are they to resume the construction on Wolf Road and finish that up? Anyone know?
I don't think they've stopped.
Yeah, they're still working.
Yeah, they're still working. So the tentative schedule moving forward here is the one-way northbound traffic is tentatively expected to be completed by the end of summer, maybe mid to end of September. They are still continuing to do storm sewer work. I think one of the main hiccups that we've run into lately is supply chain issues with storm sewer infrastructure. But that obviously needs to go in before the roadway can go in. But we're still expecting substantial completion before the end of the year.
Okay, that's why I haven't seen much activity there.
Yeah, and then the Strong Avenue, obviously, we've gotten quite a few calls regarding that. So Strong Avenue is obviously closed going westbound from Wolf Road. So there's been some minor hiccups in the water main design. That was closed to accommodate some water main work. We're kind of tweaking some of the design, making some field changes, and they'll be starting on that pretty shortly here. But as far as I'm aware, tentatively, substantially completed before the end of the year.
Great, thanks.
Yep.
Anything else?
That's it.
Commissioner Yadnik?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Anything from you, Steve? Kyle? Ron? I know you're counting. How many days you got left, Ron? 3 weeks,
Chairman Johnson, I would just, since we're back in person, if the commission wants, we can do just voice vote for closing public hearings and approval of minutes. We don't have to do a roll call vote on those. It was just when we were remote, we had to do a roll call vote on everything.
Right.
So, but we can do voice votes on closing the public hearing and approval of minutes.
Okay.
and adjournment.
That'll speed things up.
Just thought we'd gotten in a rhythm, but we had
Yeah.
a lot of closing of public hearings tonight, so I thought I'd note it.
All right. Along those lines, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Got it? All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.